How you doing?
I'm good.
Where you from?
I'm from Vietnam. We're living Korea.
You from what?
Vietnam.
You from Vietnam? Where you? How old are you?
I'm 21.
You 21? Can I get your number?
Yes.
Good.
Oh. You like that? Sexy.
Sexy.
Sure. Hey.
Like, you want Korean number
Korean? It don't matter.
or Instagram because like,
What?
or you want Instagram?
Let me get your IG. Fuck it. Let me get your IG. Sorry.
I just click your here.
No, what's your IG so I can text you?
Oh my god, I'm shaking. Excuse me.
No, that's you? Alright, bet. I'm gonna text you. Ooh, you are fine.
Can I take a picture with you?
You can.
Oh my god.
Yes. Yo.
Well, looky what we have here. Wasn't long before the Passport Bros ended up right back in the news. So they say the Passport Bros took over the White Lotus this season. Here's what that term means in real life. So it says, why you shouldn't be a Passport Bro, Jason Speakman. I don't know who that is. Hearst Magazines and Yahoo may earn commission on revenue on some items through these links. Okay, so anyway, it says, although you might not have heard of the Passport Bro before, the term has gained traction on social media in recent years and now crossed over into TV's most popular show. What TV? I don't know what the White Lotus is. I've never seen it before. I have no idea what this show is. But anyway, it says this season, many of the American male guests staying at the fictional Thailand resort are accompanied by their younger, beautiful, and foreign girlfriends, wives, earning them the nickname losers back home. LBH, a spin on the Passport Bro term. The difference, while many men self-identify as Passport Bros in real life on the White Lotus, LBH is used by the locals to label the many bald white men in Thailand, according to Chloe, the girlfriend of Gary/Greg, whose bare head fits the description. All right, so right here, you already know I'm going to take issue with the fact. First of all, Passport Bros, as I pointed out in the last video that I made about the Passport Bros, the Passport Bros specifically denotes African American men. So the actual term Passport Bros, and in the last video I did, like I broke down the entire etymology of it, and I'll even go back and I'll show you. Well, it's in the last video I did about Passport Bros. But anyway, it was used back in 2013, I believe, to talk about African American men specifically. See, the thing about it is, it's really funny how all of these terms and cool stuff that we make up. Because, see, you know, one of the crazy things about being black is we make shit cool. Somehow, I don't know what it is. I don't know how we do it. But anything we do it in a way where it's just fucking cool. I have no idea. It's like, whether it's music, whether it's clothing, I don't know. Everybody copies our shit. And everybody tries to ride the coattails. But the bottom line is, yes, white men have gone abroad to get foreign wives. They had mail order brides. They went over there during wars and shit. And they married the women over there, some of them. But the bottom line is, it's like when we start doing it, all of a sudden now it's a goddamn phenomenon. Like, this has been going on for like ever. Like forever. It's been going on since the Bible days, where you would leave one tribe and you go out to find another tribe and you get a woman from another tribe and she was nothing like the women in your tribe for whatever reason. This has been going on forever. But when we do it, now there's a problem. Now all of a sudden, Passport Bros, what's going on over there? What's behind the Passport Bros? You know, and when we do it, all of a sudden, now there's an issue. Like I said, nobody said nothing. Nobody said nothing. What? Passport Joes were going over there. They were going to Vietnam. They were getting Japanese wives. They were getting Vietnamese wives. They were going to Cambodia, getting Cambodian wives. They were doing that all along. Oh, yeah, my son Joe just got a mail order bride from Serbia or fucking Russia or some country. nobody had a problem with it. There was no problem with it. You didn't even hear the feminists talking about it. Oh, yeah, well, no problem. When the black man does it, now all of a sudden there's a label and there's a phenomenon. Oh, what's going on? Oh, what are they doing over there? Oh, why are they getting their passports? Blah, 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 blah. So my thing is, I'm going to keep it real. The bottom line is this term specifically denotes African-American males. So I'm going to keep it real. But that's just what it is. And I pointed it out, and I have the etymology and the proof. They call us bros, for God's sakes. Oh, yeah, brother, bro. Yeah, it's like, come on. It's like everybody's trying to ride our coattails. Everybody's trying to get a piece of the pie because they know that the words itself are trending. And because those words are trending, everybody's trying to get in on it. But it's like, whatever. It's like, at a certain point, it's like you just get tired. So anyway, it says it's clear from episode 1 that LBHs abound at the luxury resort, but perhaps no character epitomized the passport bro as much as Rick's Walton Goggins. And I know this guy, normally that's a name I wouldn't recognize, except now this guy's in like everything. Walton Goggins was in he was in not Django, he was in the other one. He was in the Hateful Eight. And he lived to the end along with Samuel L. Jackson. Then he was in Fallout, and they had him as the zombie guy who's a cowboy. And he was also in Invincible playing Cecil. So, yeah, this guy, now all of a sudden I know who this is. But it says played by Sam Rockwell Frank, who openly admits that he moved to Thailand because I always had a thing for Asian girls. It says, while Frank's expat journey took a few unexpected turns, the rest of the passport bros seem to have found ideal romantic partners abroad. On the White Lotus, these women always appear eager to please and more than happy to cater to their partner's whims, likely because they are rewarded with a lavish lifestyle filled with yachts and extravagant parties. Of course, this dynamic doesn't go unquestioned, as Parker Posey's character Victoria Ratliff asks a young, beautiful Asian woman at one such soiree, "Why are you with this middle-aged weirdo? Does he have a lot of money?" So bottom line is this. See, one of the things about the passport bros is the passport bros are increasingly young black males. They are getting into technology. They're getting into coding and stuff and cybersecurity and all that stuff. And the thing about it is those jobs are remote jobs. Those jobs allow you to go to other countries. So some of us join the military and we go abroad and we meet women abroad. But some of us now, more of us, and an increasing number of us, we're going abroad to do these remote jobs and ending up in countries like, China, Southeast Asian countries like Indonesia, Bali, or Bali's part of Indonesia, I should say, Thailand, et cetera, Vietnam, Cambodia. So the reality is, it's like, we're not the balding. First of all, we don't go bald. Like I'm like in my 40s and I have a full head of hair. So we don't go bald. I guess I'm middle-aged. But the thing about it is I don't fit that criteria because this has been a stereotype for a very long time. And I'm not just talking about American men, British men, men from parts of Europe, Frenchmen. They've gone down to these countries, like they've gone down to Vietnam and they've gotten wives and stuff from these countries. And the thing about it is that's been a common trope. So that, they go down to these countries and they get these women. But the thing about it is it's like now black men are doing it. And when black men start doing it, now everybody starts paying attention to it and starts talking about it and criticizing it all of a sudden. So white men had been doing this all along. Nobody was saying nothing. You barely ever heard feminists even talking about it. Now black men are doing it. Now once black men start doing it, all of a sudden it's a problem. So anyway, okay, so these relationships might be exaggerated for entertainment purposes and to great memeable effect. but Passport Bros are a real and growing presence in the world of traveling and dating. Here's everything to know about the men seeking out a different kind of connection. Now, let me make this very, very simple before I read into this shit, because I'm not going to read the whole thing. You could always go, you can read it yourself. The reason why Passport Bros exist is because modern-day liberal feminism has ruined women in the West. Not only that, but if you add the fact that we have unequal laws that specifically are designed to punish men who leave marriages and end up giving a woman half of his shit that he worked for. And not only that, the women typically get full custody of the children, typically, because a woman's seen by the court normally as the primary caregiver. The men have to pay, like, I'll say it like this. I've got a coworker. Coworker is spending over $2,000 a month in child support. And the dude, I don't want to give away too much of his information, but the dude literally had, how should I say, he basically had a panic attack that required him to be like literally getting into an ambulance and taking him off the work site. I'll just say it just like that. And I've talked to him, and when I listen to him talk about, like, you know, like he feels that he has to work more and he has to get a second job and all this shit. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, you know, if you could go back in time and stop yourself from having a relationship with this woman, and, you know, if you could go back in time, chances are you probably would. Because you never realize, you're like, wait a minute. I'm at whatever age I'm at, 40, 50, whatever it is, and I'm divorced. I have to work a second job to pay this child support. I've got to do this for the next up to 18 years or whatever it is. And I'm literally basically killing myself. Then on top of that, what I've noticed, and this is an observation I've noticed, because I've had some friends who've actually died young. One of my friends like died of like an aneurysm or something like that, but his health wasn't all that great. Like, he wasn't taking care of his health, and he had some issues in the family. But one thing I've been noticing, men who don't have women, because I'm not going to pretend like, because there's some dudes on the internet who get on there, oh, men don't need women, all they got to do is focus on making money, and all they got to do is focus on getting power and all this shit. The reality is, men make terrible health decisions, and even as, what's that guy, that professor from Canada, what's that guy's name? It'll come back to me. I forget what his name is. And they were going after him because of the things that he was saying about males and females when Canada was trying to force you to, you know, use pronouns and all that shit. I can't remember his name right off the top of my head. But the reality is, men really do need women for more than just sex. Men really do need women to cook for them and to help prepare their meals, because they're going to make bad health decisions. They're going to eat stuff that's not healthy. They're like the women, some of the women I know, especially the foreign women I know. Let's think about one of them in particular, who's a Korean coworker. This girl comes to work, and she has like a lunchbox with healthy stuff in it. Like, she's got chopped fruit, and I guess she has vegetables sometimes and all that. But she comes to work with healthy meals that she has prepared herself. And this girl ain't got but a pound of fat on her. And she's very skinny and very healthy. Meanwhile, the men who I see and observe, they go out and they buy basically unhealthy things. Like, they go to fast food restaurants mostly. When they get home, they eat a lot of fast food. So the problem is their cholesterol is not good. A lot of the men I know have issues with high blood pressure, stroke, high anxiety, and so forth and so on. So the problem is, men actually do need women to help correct some of their behaviors, especially when it comes to their diets. And in addition to that, if you go into some of these dudes' houses, it's not kept well. Men really do need somebody home to help keep that house clean. But now what you're in is a situation where the women are in competition with the men. The women feel, oh, well, I can go and work as much as a man can, so when I come home, I shouldn't have to do housework, or I shouldn't have to cook, or I shouldn't have to clean. So the issue is these men are getting their passports and they're aiming for countries that literally indoctrinate women to be wives. Now, I've said all of this before, so I'm not going to harp on it too much, but that's ultimately the reason why Passport Bros exist. Passport Bros are young men who've basically figured out that the system that they live with, the liberal system, the feminist liberalism, the feminism that they live with, has basically created an anti-wife, a woman who's not a good wife, and they don't want to deal with it. They've also seen that marriages mostly end in divorce now, especially in America. Now, there are some countries that you can go to where marriage does not end in divorce because there is no divorce. There are some countries that do not have formal divorces. There are some countries with women in certain religions where they absolutely do not believe in divorcing at all. And what you'll notice is those countries typically have families that stay together. They have a nuclear family because there's no choice but to not have a nuclear family. The other choice is that you be chastised and exiled out of the group. And nobody wants that, so they play along and they do what they're told. The men and the women. It's not just about because you got to understand, submission is a bad word to these women now. It's not just the women who are submitting to their gender role. It's the men who are submitting to their gender role. So, again, I'm not going to harp on this too long, but that's the reason why you have Passport Bros. Black men are not happy in this country, nor should they be. America is not designed for the black man. Africa was designed for the black man. But since black American men are a new species on this continent, they have to do what they have to do. So if that means that you got to get your passport, you got to spend $165 or whatever it is, and you got to fly overseas and get you some foreign cat, then that's just what you got to do. So what is it? It says the website's description leaves out a crucial component of the idea of a passport bro. Typically, these men are dissatisfied with women they find here and who are in their social circles, whether it's because they don't fit this traditional woman mold or they're too feminist, says Dr. Sally Chung, PS or Psy doctorate, a Seattle-based relationship therapist with a specialty in cultural identity. Gee, I wonder, does she have a picture here? Uh-oh, we got Shung Yu. Is she married? I gotta know. I have to know if she married. Where's her wedding ring finger? It says, I specialize exploring how you, whatever, strive to promote healing. I don't see anything about marriage or children, but I'm pretty sure she needs to be married because I'm not taking no relationship advice from some leftover woman. It's not happening. I guess I'd have to dig a little further. It says, I hold a board certification in clinical psychology and a doctorate of clinical psychology, blah, blah, blah. Asian American mental health relationship. You know, to tell you the truth, I don't know if she's married, but to tell you the truth, when you got all these PhDs, something tells me you're probably not married because no man has time for that shit. But anyway, let me go back. So, it's either there's something they don't like about these women or something they're not getting out of women in their own home countries, where they go to other countries, generally where they have a lower cost of living, she adds. Passport Bros travel to countries where women are poorer, have fewer options, and they find women there who they believe to be more traditional. They will cook and they will clean, and maybe they're more subservient. Okay, along with Thailand, the most popular destinations for many Western men to visit per the Passport Bros website are Croatia. Now, I've never been to Croatia, and I had no intentions of going to Croatia. But anyway, Cambodia, Colombia, which I keep talking about because Colombia refuses to stay out of the news, the Philippines, Vietnam, Brazil, Germany, Mexico, and Venezuela. So let's just think about that for a second. Now, any of those Southeast Asian countries, for the most part, Cambodia, Indonesia, Philippines, Vietnam, all of these places have the exact same thing in common. The cost of living is very low. So let's take the women out of it for a second. You go to one of these countries, I can get a condo for $500 a month. I've made videos like when I was in Philippines, I had a condo. This place had like 6 swimming pools, a basketball court, a gym. It was next to a mall. It was beautiful. It was called the Grass Residence. You can look it up yourself if you're ever in Quezon City. It was beautiful. It was a gated, walled off condo community because it was a bunch of condos. It wasn't just one. And basically, $500 a month, or somewhere around that, between $500 and $600, depending upon how many rooms you had, you were having a damn good time. You go there, you got yourself basically an apartment. You got the pools, you got plenty of recreation. There's the mall nearby. You could walk to the mall. You could go to the movies. You could do whatever you want. And the cost of living was really, really low. And on certain days, like you had these women come there and they'd bring food and everything and you'd eat outside. It might cost you $1 or $2. It was dirt cheap. So you take the women out of it and you're having a goddamn good vacation. Now, that repeats itself in Thailand. That repeats itself even more in Vietnam. Most passport bros are seeing that Philippines and Thailand are actually more expensive than Vietnam and Cambodia. The living conditions are slightly different, but the reality is, in any of those Southeast Asian countries, the average person makes like less than $10,000 US a year. The exception to that rule would be like if you look at Singapore. Obviously, that's a very expensive place to live. But the bottom line is, that's the countries that they choose to go to specifically because the cost of living is going to be low. But then when it comes to the women, countries like the Philippines, the women pretty much all speak English and they're Christian. So the Philippines pretty much rises right to the top of the list. Thailand, the women mostly speak English, but for the most part, they're not really Christian. They're like Buddhist. In Indonesia, they also have, there's a mixture of religions, in most of these countries, but for the most part, it's like Muslim, Christian, Buddhist, so forth and so on. So the countries with the women who speak English and who happen to be Christian or Catholic, those are the countries that typically are going to get the most play because they are the most compatible with these men for the most part. It says, is being a passport bro controversial? Well, it's only controversial if you're a leftover woman who can't get a man because the men are getting their passports and leaving. But anyway, it says the passport bro dynamic can be extremely exploitative of women in other countries and cultures, says Chung. Now, keep in mind who this is coming from. Just keep in mind who Chung is and what she is. This is an Asian woman who I'm not sure if she has children or a husband. So anyway, mainly due to unequal power dynamics regarding finances and cultural influence. America is known to be a wealthy country, a very wealthy country. When you have someone coming in from America, you expect them to have all this money. If they want to be in a relationship with you and you don't have money, maybe this is your ticket out. If they want to stay, maybe they're going to improve your standard of living, she explains. Money inherently sets up a power dynamic in a relationship. Well, we've all known that. There's nothing new about that. Even when you look back at Disney and you look back at stories like Cinderella, and so what was it? It was always a poor, downtrodden woman who was young and beautiful looking for Prince Charming. So here you got this guy who's got a glass slipper and he comes looking for Cinderella, and apparently everything else she had turned back into shit. But he found a glass slipper that apparently didn't turn back into whatever it was. And when he finds her, he puts the slipper on her foot and he's like, oh, wow, I found you and boom, let's get married. And that's it. And now she gets married to the prince. So obviously, in modern day society, there are very few princes. There are, however, men with a lot of money. We know this to be true. But now you have a situation in society where they're saying, oh, well, ladies, you ain't got to chase for the prince. All you got to do is work 50 hours a week and you could be wealthier than the prince or some shit. And for the most part, they still complain because men make more money. I personally make more money than the average WNBA player. I would say my job is a lot harder. The difference between them and me is I actually have more people following me and listening to me. The average WNBA player, nobody cares. It's like they could bounce that ball freaking day. Nobody's watching. I don't watch. The statistics pretty much tell the truth. Nobody's watching. So anyway, it says, while plenty of couples have one partner who is the breadwinner, in a certain light, the financial inequity between a passport bro and his partner can be seen as a way to exert control over the relationship because the stakes are higher. Of course they are. Not only do these women tend to lack financial independence, but they also have more to lose than their men. Inevitably, this puts them in a position where it's in their best interest to do whatever is required to keep the passport bro happy because they think they owe it to him. The power dynamic further reinforces the inherent belief that Western culture is superior, says Chung, which can also enable exploitation. Men who travel to these other countries also tend to project their traditional view of women on those living there, says Chung. If the reality doesn't match their expectation, passport bros say that they are looking for a partner who embodies femininity per the organization's website, but it's unclear how they define that quality and why they are unable to find that among the 170 million women living in America. There are plenty of women here who are stay-at-home mothers, Chung says. There are women who are successful in their high-powered careers and are very feminine. What do you mean when you say femininity? You mean submissive. Well, first of all, Miss Chung, what do we mean when we say femininity? Now, I can't really speak for all men. I guess I can only speak for myself because some of these dudes are weird and they're into some weird-ass shit. Like some of these dudes go overseas and if you look in their suitcase, they bring whips and paddles and stuff. I don't do none of that. But I would say that when you're talking about femininity, what you're talking about is you're talking about a woman who helps a man build. So the man is the builder. Women don't build anything. Like you could look all around. I don't see no women building submarines. I don't see women building bridges. I don't see women building buildings. I don't see women building space stations. I don't see women building rockets like Elon Musk. I don't see women building anything. Yeah, you can put them on a factory floor and they can, put rivets into something, but I've never seen a gang of women roving around building houses. I see men doing it. I've never seen a gang of women roving around fixing sewer systems. I've seen men doing it. I've never seen a woman with a jackhammer sweating and the back of her neck is red and she's in the hot sun and she's tearing up the streets so that she can lay down pavement. What I've seen is a woman standing there holding a stop sign and waving it and telling you when you can go and when you can't. While I've seen the men slaving away with jackhammers and fucking pickaxes and all that shit. Women don't build anything. Men are the builders of society. It's just a simple fact. Women, however, keep that man going. Women pack that man's lunch. Women are at home with that man's children building the family. Women are creating the men of tomorrow to build. Women are creating the soldiers of tomorrow to protect the land. Women are building the engineers and stuff, and they're going to go out there and do stuff. But the point is, what they're not doing is they're not competing with their men. And the sad thing, I've experienced it. I've been in the Philippines. I've been in China. I've been in Japan. I've been in South Korea. And the thing that all those countries had in common, because I don't really go to South America. I'm not going there until they get their shit together and they deal with these cartels and stuff, because I'll be goddamned if they're going to try to kidnap me since I'm American and they're going to call home and they're going to try to wrestle money out of somebody, or if they're going to put some scopolamine in my drink and I'm going to wake up naked and stabbed. I'm not having that happen. The countries I go to oppress their people like totalitarian dictatorships should. Totalitarian dictatorships, they keep those people oppressed. In the countries I go to, if they even got caught with scopolamine, they're getting hanged. Ask that chick in Singapore who they just hanged because she got caught with drugs. I don't do drugs. I don't play with drugs. I don't want nobody around me with drugs. These other people who are doing like this crazy stuff with the fentanyl and all that stuff, I don't want nothing to do with it. I don't want to go to any of those countries because obviously they don't have control over their people. The countries I go to, they wouldn't dream of touching a tourist. They wouldn't dream of harming a tourist because they would be caught and they would be executed. Those are the countries I go to. So anyway, all of those countries have the same exact thing in common. The women in general are nice. They're friendly. They smile. If you talk to them, even if they're not interested in relationships, they smile. They talk back. They're generous. They're gentle. They offer you stuff. You know, they might offer you a piece of gum or something. But they're just nice to be around. Here in America, they're not nice to be around. And I think that ultimately sums it up. And if you take it to the sexual level, the men here can easily tell you that there's a lot of things about these women that they don't find sexy. Okay, let's think about some of those things. How about fake hair? How about wigs? How about nose rings that make it look like you're a fucking bull and you have a cowbell or thing in your nose? A cow bull ring or whatever the fuck that is. That we don't really consider that sexy. What else? Brightly colored hair. It might be somewhat attractive to some extent because it's different, but neon green, neon pink, you know, it's something that's weird because that's not a natural, that's not like even something even remotely natural. If you have kids with this person, your kids are not coming out with that hair color. Now, the women who do have naturally bright colored hair, like blondes and stuff, that passes because that's natural. What is it? These BBL butt implants, that's the stupidest shit in the world. And I have I'm starting to personally believe that a lot of women are going out of their way here in America to do the most repulsive things that they can do to themselves. And they're interested in being as repulsive as possible in hopes that they can attract the one man who's attracted to that shit. But in general, it's repulsive in general. BBLs, ass implants. It's just, why? Like, why? Then, more and more men are starting to say, yeah, they find tattoos disgusting. But just about all these women had to go out and get those disgusting tattoos. And now a lot of the guys are like, yeah, well, if she's got tattoos, she's for the streets. So when we're talking about femininity, those are some of the things we're talking about. When you go over there and you go to, like, say, Japan, they outlawed tattoos. They said, yeah, them tattoos, you might be a Yakuza. So, yeah, no tattoos at all. And they outlawed the tattoos. If you have tattoos, they won't let you into certain establishments. A lot of the women, especially in these poor countries, they can't afford to ruin themselves. It's almost like when you go to work in the morning and you got to take a shit and you got to use the toilet. It's like you're doing your best to get to the toilet before anybody else does, right? And the reality is that's because you in the back of your mind, you don't want anything else on it. You don't want like bacteria or pee on it or anything like that. You don't want any like pieces of paper towel with shit laying around the toilet. The bottom line is the women in these countries, they haven't had the time and they don't have the money to ruin themselves. That's what it really comes down to. So when we say femininity, I'm pretty sure that's what they're talking about. I can't speak for everybody, but I'm pretty sure that's what they're talking about. So anyway, in certain cultures, women present in a different way that they may appear to be more agreeable. They may be more soft-spoken. Yeah, that helps. Or may have a way of speaking that may make them seem more appealing. adds John Fitzpatrick, a New York-based psychotherapist and marriage counselor who has worked with many couples who met in another country. After it becomes a relationship, the partner will usually discover that this is a woman who has thoughts and feelings like any other human, and that can be a surprise. But the Passport Bros website rejects the narrative that they are exploiting people and women of other cultures and describes its members as honest, hardworking, respectable, good men who are traveling abroad to see the world in an effort to experience a better quality of life. They're not exploiting the women. What they're exploiting is the difference in the culture and the situation. When we go to those countries, we dominate. When I say we dominate, I can go into their stores and I can buy anything in their stores because their stores are designed for their people. Their people only make less than $10,000 a year. I make six figures. So if I go into their stores, I can have anything that I want. When I go to the Philippines, for example, in the Philippines, they don't have credit cards. I've got like several credit cards, and each one of them pretty much has a limit well above like $10,000. My Apple card is like $15,000. My Capital One Venture, like I have these credit cards that give me so much ability if I go to their stores. They don't even, you got to understand, they don't even have the credit cards. Now, they're trying to implement credit cards, but the credit cards that they're implementing are all secured credit cards. They don't even have our banks in those countries. So, like, if I want to go to Capital One, which is like the main bank I use, or if I want to go like Wells Fargo or JP Morgan Chase, you can't find those banks over there. You got like Philippine National Bank. You got like a couple of these weird name banks where it's just like a name of a bank. I don't trust them. But even if you go to like China, you got to go to like HSBC. And now the Chinese, their economy is doing pretty well. Their economy is pretty strong compared to Southeast Asia. But what my point is, it's like I can go over there with a credit card. I can buy everything that they have. And there's nothing stopping me from doing it. And I got a month to pay for it before I have to pay interest. We dominate their economy. I can go there, I can get a condo, and I can outbid anybody else who lives there because chances are they ain't got the kind of money that I have and they don't have the credit. So if I want to put a down payment or a deposit, I can outbid their people. I dominate their economy. Not only that, I dominate, and when we go over there, in general, we dominate their women. Specifically because we're men of means. We're basically like the prince and Cinderella. It's like we've got the money. We're like rock stars. Okay. But we're not so arrogant as to hang on to just the fact that, okay, we've got all this money because, you're not over there just flashing money. Hopefully you're not doing that. But the reality is the women are going to see the men who are coming there as passport bros. They're like, my life is so boring. Maybe if I have a relationship with him, it'll be a chance to improve it. And that's just what it is. Not only that, in some extents, we dominate their men too. We're taller than their men on average, a lot taller in my case. We are typically physically stronger than their men on average. Obviously, we have bigger wallets. Obviously, while their men are slaving away building their society over there, we're coming there just to eat at the buffet. Like they're there putting the food out and they're setting up all the tables and trays. We're there just to eat. So when I say we dominate, and that's just what it is. So it's not that we're taking advantage of any particular person. We're taking advantage of a situation. That's what it is. I'm sorry. That's just what it is. It is becoming more popular to identify as a passport. Is it becoming more popular to identify as a passport bro? I would say it doesn't matter if you identify as it or not. It really doesn't matter because nobody really knows what your preferences are unless you openly tell them. But even if you tell them, most of these morons on TikTok, they're not individually targeting Passport Bros. Passport Bros have to be loud and outspoken in order just to get noticed so that they can stay in these articles. On TikTok, there are 25.5 million videos about Passport Bros. That's amazing. Many are critical of the lifestyle. Who cares what they think? Who cares? While some glorify it. It's a similar mixed bag on Instagram with 26.7 thousand Passport Bro posts. Now, look at that dynamic. On TikTok, there's 25.5 million videos, but on Instagram, there's 26.7 thousand. Just think about that dynamic. And you wonder why I want them to ban TikTok. As far as I'm concerned, TikTok is a psyop being run by the Chinese CCP government on America. If you go to China and you watch their television, it's nothing like it is here. If you watch their TikTok, it's nothing like it is here. All of theirs is propaganda, pro-China, and it's uplifting and positive and educational. You turn on our TikTok, it turns you into a fucking idiot. If you watch the average and it's so I've been noticing this more and more. When you look at these school kids now, they're always looking down at their phones. They don't think about anything. They don't look out the window of the bus. They don't look out of the window of their parents' car. They're just staring at their phone the entire time. They don't think at all. They don't wonder about the world. They don't think. They don't even try to do anything. Like, it's just sad. It's like they turn into zombies. And I'm disappointed with my government. I'm disappointed with the president for keeping TikTok instated. If it was me, I would have shut that shit down, just like the Chinese flicked a switch and turned Google off. If any American outlet of media says anything negative whatsoever about China's government, they shut that shit off. If it was me, I would have shut that shit off years ago. But they didn't, because my government is weak and most of it is corrupt and most of it takes money off the table from those people to keep it up and running. So when your kids turn into absolute zombified idiots, don't be surprised. When your kids get radicalized, like, TikTok did for this Israel versus Gaza Hamas war. When your kids get radicalized and they end up losing their scholarship to their school or end up getting kicked out of school or they end up getting into some fight or conflict or whatever it is, don't say that I didn't warn you. I would have shut this shit down years ago. It's a psyop. And, everything I complain about, nobody really pays much attention to it. But you know what? When it bites you in your fucking ass, that's when you'll know. So, you can always say, that guy, Big Truck Series, he was talking about this. And now it came and bit me in the ass. So, it is what it is. Okay, two different Facebook groups, one public Passport Bros group and one private Passport Bros group, have 18,000 and 25,000 members respectively. The private group is especially active with 10 posts a day, according to the social media platform. The community has become a global phenomenon in every sense of the word, but what's fueling the rise of the Passport Bro online and in real life? While Chung hasn't personally seen a rise in Passport Bros, she does feel the movement might overlap partially with incel culture and be fueled by a mindset of, I'm owed this, and I'm not getting it from American women. The Passport Bros website says that they feel villainized by Western women and the media, and that has played a significant role in their self-identification. To shame, insult, guilt, and name-call men simply for being men has unfortunately become normalized. The website says on the About Us page, Men's Health reached out to the Passport Bros for content, but the interview was postponed past deadline. The appeal of passport broing may also be tied to the fact that men enjoy embodying traditionally masculine values and interacting with partners of another culture might unlock something internally for them, says Fitzpatrick. At the same time, it's important for the women involved to have their eyes open and ask questions about the relationship. Ultimately, for a healthy partnership to develop, any passport bro visiting another country should consider women there as people who have something to teach them about the world they're living in, says Fitzpatrick. Allowing for the potential of mutual understanding and respect. Yeah, like, I totally agree with that. You'll get no disagreement out of me. As far as I'm concerned, I go back to the original premise. Passport bros are black men who are getting their passports and going abroad seeking relationships. That's where the term itself came from back in 2013. And that's just what it is. So now, to digest all of this shit, in general, this article, now this is a Men's Health article, by the way, so it's at AOL.com, which I'm surprised anybody still actually reads. But the Passport Bros, you got to understand, think about it. We're getting ready for Passport Bros 2025. Spring break is next week. Summer is 3 months away, or give or take less than 3 months away, because officially I think the first day of summer is like June 21st. But spring break is a week away, and summer's coming up. Now, the Passport Bros can be Passport Bros all year, because keep in mind, when it's winter in our hemisphere, it's summer in the southern hemisphere. So if you're going to like Southeast Asia, it's summer under that equator. If you go to like Singapore, it's 95 degrees every goddamn day. Indonesia and Bali, it's 85 degrees every single day. I couldn't deal with that heat in Singapore, man. That shit made it so when I was in Singapore, I couldn't go out until it was like 5 o'clock. I was like, I can't deal with this. There were a couple of days when I caught myself out walking. I had to buy something to drink like every like 1,000 yards because it was like so goddamn hot. But as far as these Passport Bros are going, I don't want us getting lumped in with the Passport Joes. Because the Passport Joes, let's just be honest, their record of going to these countries, it hasn't been too good. They go to these countries, a lot of times they're messing with illegals or illegally aged, and we ain't got nothing to do with that. So as far as I'm concerned, I am splitting it down the middle. I'm saying, listen, you do your thing right there, and I do my thing right here. When I travel, I don't even want nobody traveling with me. And the reason why is because I don't need them doing something stupid that ends me up. Because I've been with people travel. When I was living in China, I had people travel with me, and some of them do stupid shit. And some of them do really dumb stuff that could land you right in one of them prisons over there. Some of them even, because they're addicted to drugs, some of them will even try to carry stuff. I'm not ending up like Brittany Griner. I'm not ending up being pushed into a small cell by some Russians that are half my height because of 5 milliliters of marijuana. It's like, no, man. It's like, no. I travel by myself. My embassy knows where I am and all that. My family knows where I am. I keep GPS signals and shit constant. Like, my phone is always on. I don't buy the foreign phone. I keep my AT&T running. And even when you're in a foreign country, my iPhone is sending off a ping. You know exactly where the fuck I am. My Apple Watch is sending off a ping. You know exactly where I am. But let me tell you something. I've been back and forth to Asia. Never had a single problem. I'm thinking about going to Vietnam, going to Ho Chi Minh City, and going to Cambodia. I'm thinking about going to Phnom Penh. Because I've been to Thailand, I've been to Bangkok, I've been to Singapore, I've been to Bali, I've been to, Philippines. I'm thinking about going to Vietnam. I ain't worried about it because you go to Vietnam, you ain't going to have a single problem over there. Not a single problem. Nobody's going to do nothing to you. Countries like Colombia and Brazil and shit, no, now you got to worry because they will drug your ass. I'm not saying that'll happen everywhere. I'm just saying it can happen. More likely it's to likely happen there. It's less likely to happen in a country that executes for drugs. So you ain't going to be able to drug nobody if you're not going to be able to get drugs because they executed the drug dealers. So let's just understand the logic. But all I'm saying is Passport bros have every reason for going and doing what they're doing. They have every reason. Now, why are so many articles talking about it? Why is it all of a sudden this is such a big issue? And again, the issue ultimately is that we're hurting the local economy. Some people call it the hoe economy. We're hurting the hoe economy because they're looking for men, and there ain't no rush of foreign men coming here to marry American women. It does not happen. It does not exist. But there is now a rising trend. And this is something I said a long time ago. The Passport Bros movement is growing. It's growing so much now that it's a trend. And it's trending up. An increase in men getting their passports, going overseas, finding women, and starting families. I have family members who've done it. I have family members who went down to these Caribbean countries. You got, what is it? You got Dominican Republic. You know, some of them have gone to Brazil. You got Brazil, Colombia. You got these Caribbean countries like Aruba and Jamaica and Trinidad and Tobago and Guyana. You know, and the thing about it is they knew what they were doing. They knew that they were men of means. They knew that they had worked all their life to build a certain amount of wealth, and they were going to be goddamn before they risked it on an American wife. And that's what it came down to. Feminism. Feminism, femininity, whatever you want to call it, that's what it came down to. They weren't going to... See, and this is where I'm going to end, because men are hunter-gatherers by evolution. We have it in our blood. We have it in our DNA. We are hunter-gatherers. We go out, we hunt, we bring it home, and we chop it up, and the wife cooks the shit and feeds the kids and gives us our portion of it, and then we go out the next day and we hunt some more. We are hunter-gatherers. I have collections of shit in my house. I got Hess trucks. I got Exo Squad figures. My new collection thing is RC airplanes. I like RC airplanes right now. I've got a collection of guns. It's like, it's not enough to buy one gun. No, I got to go out and buy another one. Well, why do you need two? Because I need more. Men collect shit. That's just what it comes down to. The problem is men also hunt and gather women. So men go out hunting for a wife, and they gather her, and they bring her back. But the problem with a woman is, it's not like having a dog or a cat. The problem with a woman is, that's the one thing that you can gather that has the ability to say, you know what, I don't want to be here anymore. I want to go fuck somebody else. And she can literally get up, take half your shit and the kids, leave, and now she's sleeping with somebody else. Like, there's nothing else that I have. My Desert Eagle is sitting right here. My Desert Eagle cannot get up, take half my shit, and go fuck somebody else. It can't do it. It just can't do it. Under any circumstance, it just can't do it. My Hess truck collection cannot get up, take half my shit, and go leave and sleep with somebody else. My Exo Squad figures cannot get up, leave, and go sleep with somebody else. My jet planes cannot get up, leave, and go sleep with somebody else. A woman is the one fucking thing that if you bring that into your house, there's a good chance that she's going to get up, take half your shit, leave, go fuck somebody else. Probably not even the same ethnicity or race as you, which should make you even more upset. Because chances are she's going to go out and get some BBC, if you know what I'm talking about. But anyway, that's the problem. That's the problem. And now men are trying to figure it out. So right now the idea is, well, we don't have robotic women yet. We don't have silicone wives yet that can, cook and clean. So I'm going to have to get a flesh and blood mate from somewhere else. So let me get this passport and let me book this flight to Thailand. Let me book this flight to the Philippines. Let me book this flight to Phnom Penh or whatever it is. Or let me book this flight to South Korea. And I'm going to go over there. I'm going to find a traditional Japanese wife or whatever it is. And she's got the kimono on. And she's very quiet. And she comes out. She's very nice. And she's dressed very nice. And she comes out and she pours, oh, husband, here is your evening tea. And she pours you some matcha. And you're like, wait a minute, I normally drink beer and shit, but, this matcha tea is pretty good. And all of a sudden she starts feeding you healthy shit. And she's chopping up vegetables for you and chopping, because I'll be perfectly honest, I don't know how to chop vegetables that well. Like, I know how to cut things, but like, you know how the people stand there with a knife and they're like, chop, 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 chop. I can't do that. Like, I can't do it. Like, you know how they slide the food in and they chop it? I can't do that. Meanwhile, South Korean chick at my, coworker, she could do it. Like, she comes and she's got a bowl of fruit for lunch. And this girl weighs like 100 pounds tops. Like, she doesn't weigh anything more than about 100 pounds. And it's like, if I were eating like her, I would lose a lot of weight very quickly. But that's the thing. It's like, I don't know how to chop shit, so I'm not sitting around preparing meals. But she is. So it's like, if I were to talk to her real nice, I'd be like, listen, what would it take for you to prepare lunch for me just like you do for yourself? And they'd be like, what are you talking about? And I'd be like, well, listen, because I see you eat really, really healthy, and I don't have anybody home cooking for me, so that's the reason why I go out and buy pizza every day. What if you would prepare meals for me? Now, that might be the start of something right there, because she might say, well, yeah, but, that's expensive. I'd be like, listen, I'll pay you. And you'd be like, oh, okay, well, I'll pay you enough. I'll pay you enough for the food, and I'll pay you a little bit extra for you. Then all of a sudden, next thing you know, you're probably married to her. But that's what I'm saying. If the guys aren't getting what they need, they're going to accumulate money anyway because they're working, and then they're going to end up spending that money to buy what they need. It's not rocket science, But that's just where it comes down to. So, like, what's her name? Chung? I don't need a fucking PhD to figure this out. Like, I don't understand. Why is it that these people think that they need some kind of PhD to understand why a man is willing to fly 9,000 miles for $3,000 or $4,000 round trip? You don't need a PhD for that. The mere fact that we've got birds that fly thousands of miles to mate in the South. We got migratory Canadian geese. You don't need a PhD to figure out that they're flying down south to get some goose pussy. That's what it is. I'm sorry, I had to say it. That's what they're doing. I don't need a PhD for that. You wasted all your time in school getting a PhD, and now you're old and you have no children. I don't need a degree for that. More and more young men are not going to college, not enrolling in college. More and more, a growing trend of young men. I talked about Daniel in that, what was it, the Wall Street Journal or New York Times? They are skipping college. They go into vocational schools to learn to be plumbers, electricians, engineers, vocational tech. These same men are looked down upon by the women who are laying up in these schools, getting these PhDs that they don't need because they're worthless, going deep into debt. Deep into debt. We owe, what is it, $1.8 trillion of student loans. 2/3 of that belong to women. Wasting money. You're going to figure it out yourself. Even if you can, if you haven't figured it out, you're going to figure it out yourself. The simple fact is you don't need a degree, Miss Chung, to understand why the men are doing this. They're flying. If you want to say they're flying over there for sex, okay, fine. But the bottom line is it's not just sex that they're looking for. They're looking for consistency. They want wives. It's not that complicated. And not only that, after you have sex, well, now you get up and the house is nasty. It's like, well, I need somebody to clean the house too. They're looking for consistency. And then after, the house is clean, it's like, I'm really hungry. They need somebody to cook because they can't cook. Most of these guys can't cook. They can put some shit on a grill, but who can really eat a steak every single day? This isn't Google Foods. Like that guy who makes steak that it's dry aged and shit. It's like, I don't know how to do that and I don't want to try. So the bottom line is they need consistency, reliability and consistency. And those are the two things that women are not. They're not consistent and they're not reliable. They're not, at this point, you can't trust them because, as I said, they'll take half your shit, leave, and they'll go screw somebody else. That is what the men, if there was any reason why men are taking their money, saving up, getting a passport, and flying 9,000 miles to get women, that's the reason why. So this is not rocket science. But basically, that's all I had to say. So that's the newest. I had to get to this because anytime there's a Passport Bro news update, I have to get to it. So it is what it is. There you go.
Oh, come on. All right, man. Peace out. Yes, you. Oh my God. Oh my God. This is crazy. Oh my God. Korea's crazy.
Oh my God, guys, check out my new AI. Let me just turn it on.
How can I help you?
To be continued.